Breach-proof or bust. Reinventing cybersecurity.
All right, good morning, everyone. If you please can take your seat. I'm promising you this will be a very interesting discussion. I'm excited, and I'm with very distinguished guests, panel members. Now, my first question, though, gentlemen, are not for you, but for our audience. Who owns a phone here? Who owns a phone? Who has an email? We are all online, and cybersecurity concerns us all. So if it concerns you and me, then it concerns the multi-billion-dollar gaming industry that we are all part of, right? Now, I am Jenny Ortiz-Bolivar. I am Sigma World's Asia Lead Senior Journalist and Reporter. I know it's a very long title. I've been a journalist for 15 years. I was with CNN Philippines, and I've been covering tech, gaming, and business and cybersecurity. Again, it's a very important, not an afterthought. And I'm sure we will dig deep into that to why. Now, gentlemen, I will give you a few minutes to introduce yourself, what you do, and where you're from, so that our audience will get to know you more. Please.
Yes, I'm Kristino Vella. I'm Director of Operations with an operator, Suprnation. I've been in the iGaming industry now for quite a while, 15 years. And that is it. And I'm Maltese. I'm local.
All right.
Thank you. I'm James Mcleod. I work for a company called Ilkari. We're a data center offering co-location, private cloud. We also have a domains registration business which offers advanced whois protection. I've been in the iGaming industry for about 25 years now.
Thank you, Jenny, and thank you for inviting us over. I'm Emanuel Darmanin. I'm the CEO of MITA, and MITA is the IT agency for the government of Malta. So primarily our role is within government, but in terms of cybersecurity, you also have a national role.
So hi all, my name is Konstantinos Kalogerakis. I'm the country head of cloud office for Greece, Malta, and Cyprus. We are very happy to support this panel. We are providing cloud services. We're reselling Google Cloud and Amazon, and we are in all the services around cloud. So we're very happy to be in this panel.
And gentlemen, I am very happy to be speaking to you about cybersecurity. We have iGaming leaders, we have someone from the government, and we have suppliers here for cloud. This is going to be very, very exciting. Now, I want to go first to you, Emanuel, from MITA, who's, of course, giving services to the Maltese government. We are in Malta, so I want to start first with you. Tell us about the strategies that you have put in place to make sure that you are staying ahead, because cyber threat is all over, especially for the government.
From a cybersecurity point of view, our effort is at a national and strategic and policy level. We have drafted the national cybersecurity strategy and, of course, are directly involved in its implementation. We also issue government IT policies, including cybersecurity policies that have to be followed by the whole of government. Important to say is that we chair the National Cybersecurity Committee that brings together the various key stakeholders involved in cybersecurity to build a cyber-resilient cybersecurity environment and to address hybrid threats. Our approach is one which is proactive. We align to EU legislation, particularly NIS2 and CER, and of course, in so doing, we actually in the coming weeks will become responsible for the national perspective of the CSERT, and we'll be providing incident management, risk assessments, proactive strategies, etc. So basically, in a nutshell, our role is not only technical, but also of national leadership and ensuring that cybersecurity is basically a key pillar of the digital economy, which itself is key for the Malta Vision 2050. Specifically to government, we operate various functions which are critical for government digital infrastructure, platforms and services.
Right.
Amongst these, there are the Security Operations Center and the CSERT that monitor and detect and, of course, address when security incidents occur. In the case of these environments, we use various tools, including tools which are based on AI. We operate business continuity plans to ensure continuity. And of course, as well, when there are problems, then we have to invoke corrective measures. I mean, within government, it suffices to say that over the past 3 years, we have invested over 30 million in terms of national and EU funds to improve the security posture of government. Then at an industry and, let's say, national level, we have a role of a National Cybersecurity Coordination Center, which basically liaises directly with the European Cyber Competence Center. And our role is to improve the national cybersecurity environment and contribute to that international. We do this through a number of measures.
Right.
I would mention, let's say, 5 of them. First of all, is that we build a competence, a community of IT experts. We have a community of over 800 individuals and over 90 organizations that are involved. And basically, they come together and organize a number of events, cyber talks, cyber breakfasts. And over the past 6 years, we have also organized an annual cyber conference, Cyber Route. I wish to say that this year's Cyber Route conference will be held on the 29th of October. And during this conference, we will also be launching the Cyber Awards, which will promote and sort of encourage the involvement of key people in this area. Second point is that we secure EU funds, which will then cascade to private sector and public sector organizations through such schemes as Cyber Art and Cyber Assess. So basically, over the past months, we have invested about 0.5 million in SMEs and carried out over 50 security assessments. Okay. The third point is that we create awareness campaigns and training programs at national and government level. Suffice to mention the SOC training program, which basically has trained over 100 people in 7 runs. And we have plans that over the coming months, we'll be training over 200 people from the private sector and public sector in terms of specialist security training in various areas. We also provide platforms for the sharing of information.
Yes, please.
So that's basically, and of course, we collaborate with various organizations at national and EU level. So we believe that through these measures, we are encouraging and enabling the industry to be in a better position to tackle cybersecurity.
That's very, very important to note because Malta, again, as we all know, Malta is an important iGaming hub, right? So it's important to note that the government, through MITA, is involved through these, steps in securing that we are secured online. Now, I want to go to our iGaming operators. This question is for you, Kristino. How can iGaming operators balance, if of course, operators, we mean business, how can we balance fraud prevention? How can we secure? We are also thinking about revenue and player trust, especially, when distinguishing premeditated fraud from issues linked to, problem gambling, which is another interesting topic that I'm sure we will discuss throughout this expo.
Yes, indeed. So on the operator side, right, the first thing that we usually think of, all right, when we set up a fraud strategy is the strategy itself, the tool, the appropriate tool that will help us implement that strategy. Over the years, I've seen, obviously, a massive improvement in these tools, all right, that can detect anomalies and malicious behavior. The recruitment itself, because obviously you need to understand if you're going to set up a specialized fraud team or as people who are going to do fraud detection, but also are going to do other work in operations. So those are key. The tool itself that is that conforms with the business, because there are tools. It's like cars, right?
Yeah.
There's the Fiat, there's the Mercedes, and there's the Rolls-Royce. So you need to get that right in the beginning. Now, besides that, the second step would be looking at your business and looking at your markets. The type of fraud that happens in South America, for example, is different than the type of fraud that happens in Asia, and even different than the type that happens in the UK, for example. So you need to understand your markets well. So when you implement the strategy and the measures, they are appropriate to that market. That's also quite important. Besides that, obviously, then you have to train the people, all right, to understand, because there are various types of fraud that happen in the iGaming industry.
Yeah.
Obviously, casinos, sportsbook, etc. People play money and obviously want to win, right?
Yeah.
There are some that accept the result, and there are others that try to cheat, like in the land-based casinos, basically. So there are a numerous number of different tactics and ways where you can try and change the odds in your favor by cheating, basically. So over the years, again, this has evolved a lot.
Yeah.
Before, for example, we used to see a lot of credit card fraud, all right? Fraudsters used to skim cards, all right, from innocent people, and then use them on our platforms, on our websites, and try to reroute the money to their bank account. Now, this has declined a little bit, not a little bit, quite a lot actually, with the PSD2, with the two-factor authentication. So it's become a little bit more challenging, especially in Europe and first world countries. What we have seen now is the evolution of fraud in a way where it is very difficult to detect via a human expert. And I'll explain why. It is because, for example, to give you an idea, I've had this case a number of years ago, where in Canada, for example, they hired mules, so people who you recruit, all right? And they were students going to university, where they practically told them, listen, we will instruct you on what to do, all right? If you win, you'll keep a percentage. If you lose, the money is ours. You won't have to fork out any money. And that, since there is no linkage, no connection, and big operators have a large number of players, it's very difficult to make the connections. So I'm saying this because now the tools that have evolved with AI, etc., it is not the operator, it is not the analyst who knows what he's looking for,
Right.
but it's the tool itself that is telling you, proactively, listen, there's a pattern, there is something that is diverse than the usual player behavior, so you might want to have a look at it.
Right. Now, Kristino, I want our audience to understand hackers worldwide are getting creative, right? They're really getting creative. And that's a really point that we need to understand, and we need to prepare as an industry, as part of the government, as part of any organization. And I want to talk about data sovereignty with James, right? So data is power. We all know it. Now tell us about, it's more than compliance. It's more than compliance. We all know that it affects players' trust and operational resilience. James, how should operators approach data location, access, and protection, of course, to strengthen cybersecurity?
Yeah, that's a very good question. The short answer is, let's define data sovereignty as looking at having control of your data through the lenses of trust and resilience, as you say. But to dig into that, I think you need to ask yourself the question, do you really understand your data? In my experience, a lot of organizations, they look at data from an analytics perspective. What insight can they glean about their business? And outside of a few areas like regulatory compliance or payments, they don't really focus on the sovereignty or the security aspects of it. So where do you start with this? I think what you really need to do is understand that data. So the first thing I would do is start to map that data out. Where is it located? Who has access to it? Who can touch it? How is it currently protected? And often with IT systems, they organically grow. So your data isn't in one place, it's sprawled all over the place. So you need to look at all your operator platforms, all your gaming platforms, all your data warehouse platforms. And once you can actually understand it, then you can start classifying it and you can start putting a risk score against it so you can understand. So for example, player data, wager history, payment data, that's highly sensitive. So that's the stuff you want to really focus on. But you also have more benign data like web access logs or system monitoring logs, not so much. And then once you understand your data, you can then start to put controls around it, and you can assess them and validate them against the risks you've identified. So for example, you can put in the appropriate access controls. So you talked at the start about things like zero trust or just-in-time access. You can also look at the jurisdictional boundaries of that data, and that's especially important if you're using cloud or SaaS platforms.
Okay.
Where is your data located?
Yes.
Often you might use GCP or AWS, you think that you're in one location, but you may have enabled a backup service, and your data's actually been stored in another location. So it's very important that you look at this. You also need to look at, do you have appropriate recovery strategies in place, and actually test them. Yeah, it's very easy to put the tick in the box and say you've got the backup, but have you actually tested those backups to see if they work? Once you've got that, and you know where, who, and how your data is handled, it becomes a lot easier to control. And then you can look your players in the eyes, your regulators in the eye, and you can say that you know where your data is, you know who has access to it, and you know how you'll recover it, not if, but when something goes wrong.
All right, very important point, know where your data is located. Now, my next question for you, Konstantinos, very important. Is there such a thing as breach-proof? That's a big question. Is there such a thing as breach-proof? And how can operators build cyber resilience? Tell us about it.
Excellent question, and thank you, Jenny. Breach-proof is something that you cannot achieve nowadays. We believe that you have to be cyber resilient. This is the key word, which means that you can operate with a certain strategy that, based on our experience, has 3 key pillars. So I think James touched one of these, zero trust. So I'm starting with zero trust architecture. So the zero trust architecture means that there is nothing to be trusted by default. You have to have granular access control across the whole infrastructure and have the right, approach to how you provide access to every spin, every bet, every transaction. So every transaction needs to be verified. That's one thing. The second thing is the scalability of the infrastructure and how you actually set up. It's what you said, James, about the backup and about how you use infrastructure as code to automate an infrastructure that is actually able to withstand high peaks, very important events, or have a certain backup infrastructure to withstand any kind of incidents. So the actual structure that you're setting up is very important. The third pillar is about a 24/7 proactive monitoring. You don't monitor right now in this, especially now, reactively. You have to be very proactive, and this is what we call, it's called site reliability engineering, which means that you have an error budget, you have certain service level indicators that you set, and you go for them, and you are always hunting for threats before they come. So you're not reactive, you are proactive. And especially now with AI tools that are used by cyber weapons that are AI powered, you have to have the same kind of weaponry. You have to use AI tools also, otherwise it's very hard. The new, as you said, Kristino, as you said, the new type of hacking nowadays is amazing. In 27, maybe you have heard about WannaCry, some of you.
Yeah.
It was a huge incident in 150 countries. Imagine now with agents and AI automation, what can happen? So you have to be very, very well, you have to have the right tools to be ready and really be in the position to close any possible door. And from our experience, you have to be, very, very well prepared and, to achieve this cyber resilience. But of course, Beach-proof, I think it's
impossible.
It's impossible. Yeah,
It
it's
is,
impossible.
it is.
You just have to be very, very well prepared.
Especially when you have the AI model actually mimicking the hacker itself.
Yeah.
So if before you had actually physical people, now you can have unlimited number of hackers
Exactly.
mimicking
That's true.
the same behavior. So obviously you need to counteract with the same type of technology.
That's true, definitely. And AI is posing its pros and cons, right? Especially not just in cybersecurity, but in general. Now, one keyword that I want each of you to remember here, be proactive, right? In terms of cybersecurity. Now, gentlemen, 30 seconds each of you, final words for our audience. What should they keep in mind in terms of cybersecurity?
Yes, I can go first. Yes, counteracting fraud and hacking, etc., normally, is looked at as a kind of extra cost. But when you take it into consideration, especially in the gaming, right, when you have a budget for marketing that goes down the toilet because you're dedicating it to people who are, abusing it, then it actually becomes a pediment for your growth and for your revenues.
James?
Yeah, I think education is key for me.
Yeah.
It's something, if you want to take cybersecurity seriously, it needs to become a first principle of your organization. And that's really where you need to start. Don't make it a guideline. You need to look at ways to enforce it. A good place to start is security awareness platforms and make it, enforce it. So when you onboard new hires, make it part of their probationary period. So they have to pass the security awareness, and then make it part of the performance reviews so that those refreshers are kept up to date. And then it's making security not just historically you'd have a security team, it was very siloed, and it was always an afterthought. It needs to be shifted left. So make it part and parcel of the primary requirements. Don't just de-scope them to meet a deadline. And then it's little things like that, the more you do it, then security doesn't just become the poster on the wall, it starts becoming muscle memory.
It's part of your processes. Now, Emanuel, final words.
Well, from my end, I would recommend a critical shift in mindset.
Yeah.
From, let's say, perimeter security to zero trust. From a silo mentality to one of collaboration, which is critical. And another from a fear culture to one of resilience. I believe that way we'll be in a better position to trust our digital future.
Konstantinos?
Yeah, I agree with all speakers. I mean, cybersecurity is not just a technical checklist. You have to embed it in all the business functions. And actually, you have to forget about it as a cost center. You have to make it like a business value driver. Because it can be, because trust is everything. I've been before in the banking sector, in the fintech sector, which is highly regulated also. And trust is everything, and it has to be a central part of the business strategy, cybersecurity, in my opinion, especially nowadays.
I'll just add a little one. And casinos, in my case, for example,
Yeah.
people don't want to put money in a place where they can lose it. You know, so obviously reputation is very key.
All right, so cybersecurity is not just part of a list, it is a must. Gentlemen, thank you so much, and to all of you, thank you so much.